Hey there, and welcome to the A&Q series. We're here to answer some of the most asked questions surrounding the Christian faith. Don't be surprised if sometimes the answers lead to more questions. One of the best ways to make progress is to keep asking the hard questions. And so today, we're answering what is God's plan for my life? I'll be honest, I've asked myself that question on more than one occasion. I think many of us have. Could it be possible that this innate desire to have purpose and meaning is actually placed inside of us? Could we have been created on purpose with a purpose? I think yes. You see, all throughout the pages of the Bible, we see many verses that tell us God does in fact have plans for you and me. And interestingly enough, most places in the Bible don't say there's just one plan for your life. Instead, the author says plans. Just look at Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. These plans are good and full of hope. I find this encouraging on a couple of different levels. For one, it takes the pressure off of me. If there was only one specific plan for my life, there'd be so much more pressure to figure out that plan and get it right the first time. Or else, I'd miss it. And two, if God has several plans for my life, that seems to makes things a little more interesting and exciting, doesn't it? There can be different things God is calling you to based on the season of life you're in. And I know, you might not be satisfied with that answer because more likely than not, you're watching this video at a crossroads in your life or on the verge of a decision you'd like to have the direction on. So you were hoping for maybe a clearer answer, but the truth is there isn't always a black and white answer to this question. Now, that being said, if we tweak the question just a little bit, I think it can help us. Instead of asking, what is God's plan for our life? Let's ask first, what is God's plan? I think God's plan is that every person would come to know Him and have a relationship with Him. From the first book of the Bible, Genesis, we read that we were created to have a relationship with God. But just a couple of chapters in, we see rebellion and pride, and ultimately a little thing called sin get in the way of that relationship. You see, it's sin that fractured our relationship with God, but also our relationship with other people and this world. And in order for all of this to be restored, Jesus, who I believe to be the Son of God, needed to pay for our sin debt. The only way that debt of our sin could be paid for was if Jesus died on our behalf. And the Bible claims He did so when He rose from the dead 3 days later, thus enabling you and I to be forgiven for the sins and have a relationship, a stored relationship with God, both here, now, and ultimately for eternity. Now, I know that's a lot. Truthfully, it probably stirs up more questions, and if it does, I'd actually encourage you to check out some of our other videos that dive deeper into these topics of sin, forgiveness, Jesus, and the gospel, which is just another word for good news. You see, God's plan all along is that you and I would have a relationship with Him, and that He would have a relationship with His people. And that's good news. He wants you to know Him and to walk with Him. This is all possible because of Jesus' death and resurrection. And the astonishing truth is that once we decide to trust Jesus, we're invited to join Him in what He's doing in this world. You see, God invites you and me into His plan. And that looks like pushing back darkness, putting back together what sin has broken, and yes, telling other people about the good news that Jesus has for them. And so, if you're stuck at a crossroads on the verge of a difficult decision, wondering, what is God's plan for my life? Ultimately, it's to trust and follow Jesus. Because when you decide to trust and follow Him, your life becomes filled with purpose and meaning. Every decision after that can best be made by following God's lead. And don't forget that part of being in a relationship with Him is praying and talking to Him. If you're feeling stuck, pray. Ask God to give you clarity on a decision, to give you peace as you navigate change. You can even ask God to open doors and bring new opportunities or relationships across your path. Seek Him first. I promise He'll show up. I know that wasn't a black and white answer, but one of the most beautiful parts about doing life with God is that it is an adventure. There are different paths and stories along the way. And so I hope this video has been helpful. Let us know what other questions you have in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe so that you can be notified when other videos get released. Here's the thing. I'm thankful we're on this faith journey together, and hope to see you next time.